attorneys, but I have to walk a fine line also, because I can't do anything that's going to upset the mix or address the wrong people, the wrong audience, or talk about things that the prosecution might find upsetting.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the person who really is the most important person in this case, and that's Harvey Weinstein, because his liberty is at stake. His liberty for the rest of his life is at stake. And our reporters, Chanley and Julia, have been noticing that since the deliberations have begun, you know, he looks really worn out. He doesn't have that normal kind of like jovial, even eye contact. Like, he's not even really making eye contact with the paparazzi, or even just a smile or a glance. It's really been void the last few days. How's he doing?
So I think the weight of what's happening is on him. He recognizes that the next few days or next day can limit his freedom or mean acquittal, and he could advance to the next stage of his life, which is, you know, whatever he has to face in LA. But I think that he is in a somber mood right now, recognizing that everything that he's done up to now has led to where he is, and he has to figure out how he's going to deal with the future, no matter which future that is.
Last week, it came to our attention that he's still experiencing a lot of back pain. And it's not something that we were actually talking about much throughout the trial. But now that we know that he still has the back pain from the surgery, which I believe was the first or second week of December. I think the second week of December.
December 12th, I believe.
December 12th, right, that week. How has he been in pain in court? Does he take stretching breaks? Because I know I've had clients that have had various ailments, and the judge always says, you know, just kind of let me know, and then they can stand or whatever it takes. Has that happened with him? Has he had any issues?
Well, now that he's no longer sitting in the courtroom listening to testimony for hours on end, so in between the jury deliberations, he stands up. He'll walk sometimes to a break room in the back, and he'll exercising, stretching himself. But you can see he's physically in pain. He is having some trouble, and we're trying not to highlight them, because we don't want to make that the reason anyone gets upset either, saying that we're trying to, once again, act.
One interesting thing about jury deliberations, which we don't normally see, and I tried at least 100 cases back there, everybody sits in the courtroom all day. So why does Judge Burke stay on the bench? I
can't explain why Judge Burke ordered this, but he doesn't want us too far from the courthouse. He wants the team to be nearby for questions, for rereads, for evidence, and he doesn't want to wait the 10, 15, you know, this, in his mind, I'm assuming, let me take the high road here. In his mind, he's assuming that this is going to be a long, drawn-out process. Remember, he gave the jury till March 6th, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
And if it takes a half hour to 45 minutes to gather everybody back to the courtroom every time they want to reread something, I think he doesn't want that. So he is just keeping them here. That way to speed the process.
Why is he on the bench?
Where else is he going to go?
I'll tell you, his robing room is right behind him. His robing room, which has a phone, maybe a coffee maker, a bathroom, a fridge. You know, why doesn't he sit in the robing room?
So he does. He has walked out. I mean, he walks out. He comes back, and everything. I'm sure he's tending to other work, whatever. But I think he's probably, just for good measure, if we're sitting there, he's going to sit there too.
When you're sitting there and everybody's just sitting there and waiting for a word from the jury or what have you, are the defense lawyers chatting with the prosecutors? And if not, why?
Well, if not, why? I can't answer that question.
Well, because I always did.
I see Mr. Idala speaking with Miss Aluzzi a lot.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I do.
So they're friendly. They're chatty.
But you see the defense lawyers talking to themselves, speaking to Harvey, looking at their phones, on their computers, looking at whatever. They're keeping themselves busy the best way they can, and I guess trying to also play out the strategy for the next set of questions or next set of whatever.
Okay, so what do you think so far about the jurors' notes and the read back? Like, what is... Okay, now I know, even though you represent business leaders... Oh, hey, by the way, folks, bonus episode of the Court TV podcast, my interview, Juda Engelmayer, it just dropped today.
It just dropped, but it dropped yesterday. But you did film it 2 weeks ago. Let's just get that on the record right now.
And it's probably got like 4 million downloads by now. But anyway, check out the Court TV podcast. Do you feel, because again, like you've been in politics and business and all different types of areas as a publicist and PR person, but this is your first foray into the criminal world, and have you been told that readback and questions from the jury is positive for the defense?
So yeah, I mean, listen, if you ask 20 questions, you'll get 40 answers. So what I've been told, various different things on it. From my impression so far has been that they are looking through the verdict sheet and going through it one by one methodically instead of bouncing around. So based on the question they've been asking, they seem to be going in order of what they're being asked. It doesn't mean I have any idea what they're thinking about.
Well, what is the defense saying? What is the defense team? How does the defense team feel? How does Donna feel? How does Damon feel? Are they feeling good that they're coming back tomorrow for a third day of deliberations?
I think to suggest that we feel good or bad about it right now would be probably an erroneous option.
Would you feel better if there was a straight guilty verdict today?
Obviously not.
Right. So you feel good
listen,
that you get to come back tomorrow.
Listen, you want to argue that every day that they don't come to a verdict is another day of freedom for Mr. Weinstein.
Yes.
You could look at it that way, and that's not a bad way, but there's no way of calculating what they're doing. There's no way of knowing, and I think we're all just sitting there waiting, trying to do the best we can, answer the questions to make sure that up until the very end, we're representing Harvey as best as possible.
What was Harvey's reaction to the note that came yesterday, 48 minutes into deliberation, about the charges and Annabella Sciorra? What was his reaction?
I think he was curious about it.
That was it? Like, oh, this is curious. Oh, what's this? Come on, Judah, talk.
Listen, he listens to the questions, and every time he hears questions like those, it makes him think that perhaps doom and gloom, you know?
No, he's got to think perhaps reasonable doubt.
Or the other way around.
Really?
I mean, listen.
Okay, moving on. What do you think about Mimi Halei, readback today? What did he think? What was his response to that?
I think he thinks the court officer did a better job than originally done.
The court reporter?
Yeah, the court reporter.
The readback? Okay. And again, Rosie Perez. What was the defense team's feeling of asking for Rosie Perez's readback as opposed to, let's say, Annabella Sciorra or something else? Like, what was the feeling for that question?
Listen, I don't want to. I have a game face on right now because
you know you're on television, right? This is actual television.
I understand that, but I guess the point is I don't know whether they're elated or disappointed, and I think that they're putting on the best face possible because why should they reveal what they think is might be the answer in advance of it? Because you don't want to be you don't want to be too excited to celebrate for what might not be a celebration, and you don't want to doom and gloom when it might be something better.
Before I let you go,
yes.
What was the purpose of Donna Vertuno's op-ed?
I think to even the playing field a little bit because there is an intense amount of media about Harvey out there that is negative, and there aren't that many people seeing the other side of the coin. And to an extent, Donna was just trying to say, and what did Donna's op-ed said? Just look at the evidence you presented. It didn't say only look at my evidence. It said look at the evidence.
Was she trying to talk to the jury directly?
Absolutely not. And like
why did she address the jury?
And like Gloria said beforehand, the jury's not reading the news or watching television, so wouldn't.
Why did she talk to the jurors directly in the op-ed?
I think it was just a form of expression. It was meant as jurors as a whole, the public as a whole.
Then why didn't she say that? Why didn't she write this is to the public? Why did she write to the jurors?
I think it was just stylistic.
Style?
I mean, she is a defense.
Well, she's a very stylish person. I give her that.
She is a defense attorney who was just talking to a jury, and I think it's just continuing with the style.
So you're saying unequivocally that was not directed to the jurors?
There's no chance in the world that we believe that we are addressing any jurors. There's no chance in the world that we believe that the jury's doing anything other than what the judge told them to be doing.
Was that op-ed just directed to?
Did you read the op-ed?
Yeah, I actually have a copy
right here. What did the op-ed say?
I'm not reading it verbatim. I have to go to a commercial.
All the op-ed said was judge this on the merits. It's all then telling the world, telling all the naysayers out there.
Is it to help Harvey's personal profile in the public?
It's to help. That's what this is. This is not only there's not only a war in the courtroom. This is also a war in the public media. When every day something's written about him.
We got to go.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Day 3, deliberations coming up, and our coverage of New York versus Harvey Weinstein and Florida versus Michael Keeley continues right after this.